Hi, everybody. This is Gary King back with another segment. No, and this time it's not about Bazi or four pillars. Today I'm going to just quickly touch upon a method that has been overlooked in Chinese metaphysics. It seems like nobody talks about it anymore. Depending on who you talk to, right? The Plum Blossom Divination, which uses the I Ching. Um, I believe that this is a very important part of Chinese metaphysics, which has been overlooked because everyone's focus these days are either on uh, Qimen Dunjia or something else. Who knows? People are also looking into Daliu Ren. Seems like people are just looking at into new gadgets and toys these days when it comes to looking into methods and stuff like that. But I just want to quickly touch upon this method where it still has a very meaningful impact on the way we do things in Chinese metaphysics. Plum Blossom does use the I Ching. Um, Obviously, this is a very common uh, image that most of you have seen before, the early heaven Bagua. These numbers are very important. For example, the Qiangua on top, number one, and then you got number eight, the Kungua, Li Gua three. So all these numbers here do mean something when it comes to using the plum blossom method. And the other Bagua that most of you are familiar with is the later heaven Bagua. Obviously, this one is often used in feng shui and in Qimen Dunjia as well. We use these gua. For those who don't even think about or even applying these Bagua in Qimen Dunjia, you definitely have a problem where you don't even have the basic foundation in terms of how to use the divination method. This is very alive and well and in Qimen Dunjia. So definitely this is a foundation for all kinds of Chinese metaphysical system. These having the numbers as well. Also, we see all these numbers in the Lo Shu. So whatever method you're using, if you're not familiar with this, try and memorize these symbols. A lot have a lot of people don't really care about these numbers too much, but this is very important in the usage in plum blossom divination. Just gonna bring something up here. Uh, hmm, where is it? Right here. So in plum blossom, uh, our focus is on the initial hexagram, what we call the Benhua, and then the process hexagram, which we call the Wu Gua, and then the result hexagram, which is the Biangua. So when someone asks you a question, you can use whichever method, like Qimen, Daliu Ren, or Plum Blossom. The answer should be very similar. For example, if you ask a question, should I buy this property? The Plum Blossom method should be very clear because if you see conflict in the Biangua, you don't even have to care about the process or the initial hexagram. Depending on your approach, you can just look at the Biangua, the last trigram, and say, "Oh, okay, here's my answer. Done." Right? Yes or no. The same with Qimen. If you see conflict in Qimen, it's the same. You don't buy the property, right? If you see it as at a loss, where, for example, let's say the Shengmen and the Wu Earth, there's some sort of a conflict, or you see Xuan Wu with your Shengmen in Qimen, it's obviously it raises a red flag, right? Because there's robberies involved in that or loss of wealth. Okay, so these three trigrams is what we see in the the entire process of plum blossom. I find that the reason why this is not a particularly fun method for people to use, I'm not sure if I should use the fun, is because when you look at Qimen Dunjia, you look at the plate and you go, oh wow, this is so much more. It looks like there's so much more, right? And if you look at the Daliu Ren, it's the same thing. You look at this and go, oh, okay, we have all these funky symbols here, and obviously you got to figure out, okay, what do I do with all these symbols, right? Seems like, oh, it's a cool method where I can just look at this and look at that, and maybe it tells me much more. But to be honest with you, like with um, my experience of teaching and studying and using these three methods, it's not a whole lot more, to be honest, depending on what the client's questions are. Like, you're telling me, like, should I be spending $10,000 on learning Daliu Ren? It depends. Do you want to spend 10,000 on Qimen Dunjia or whatever, right? Does it serve your purpose? You have to ask yourself, do these methods serve what you need, right? If not, you might want to just keep it simple and just use Plum Blossom, right? Um, but going back to this, I'll bring up a simple example. So what we have here is, I mean, Qimen can answer this question, right? So I have this inquirer who has studied many topics in Chinese metaphysics but lacked teaching experience. She's practiced for a long period of time and would like to know whether she would be invited to travel elsewhere to work. So basically, the question is, will I get to travel for work, regardless of whatever you're studying, right? Or it could be like for a tech job or for an accounting firm, whatever. So our focus, will I get to travel for work? So Plum Blossom is very simple. So you got this December 1st, 2014. That was the date and time was 1603 was the question, right? So basically, this is the bazi of that day, right? So you got your Jiawu year and Yi Hai month. Day is Bingwu, and then the hour is Bing Shen. Actually, this is wrong. It's actually, yeah, actually it's right. What am I talking about? I was thinking about something else. Yeah, so Bing Shen hour. And then basically, it's very simple. You get all these numbers in Plum Blossom. I'm not going to go through it in so much detail because um, it's it's going to take me another half an hour to explain how to bring up these different trigrams and hexagrams and all that. But to make a long story short, we do all the calculation, pluses and minuses, and then we divide by 8. Obviously, think about why we're just throwing it out there for those who don't know the Bagua. Why do you divide by 8? It's not rocket science here. Anyway, so we get a 3, remainder 3, Li Gua, Li Gua. So you're asking me, why are we using 3 as Li Gua? Well, just look at the early heaven Bagua and then you'll see why we're doing it this way. And then these other numbers here to get the other gua. Remainder is 4, so we get the Zhen gua. And then divide by 6. Just gonna throw it out there. Why do we divide by 6? Think about why. Remainder is 0. We use line 1. Anyways, all this calculation I'm not gonna talk about too much. There's a standard method. You can go online. There should be information that tell you how to erect the trigram or hexagram using these calculations. There's other methods in terms of numbers that you can use. Like you can tell people give you 3 numbers. They could give you 1, 2, 3, and then you can bring up a hexagram, a complete hexagram by someone saying 1, 2, 3, just like that. For the more experienced masters, what I just said was 1, 2, 3. You might end up putting up a hexagram to determine why is Jerry using 1, 2, 3 here, and then you have your 3 hexagrams to determine why is he using 1, 2, 3 and not other numbers. So basically, I can throw out random numbers, and a very seasoned feng shui master can use those numbers against me or for me or whatever, right? Anyhow, I'm not going to go any further with that. So basically, this is the hexagram that I came out with. So remember, I mentioned that there's the initial hexagram, and then there's the process, and then there's the final hexagram, which why I call the biangua. Anyhow, so looking at these hexagram, I mean, you can open up your I Ching book to look at what hexagram this is, translated in English called frustration. So the hexagram itself could be called frustration. So the initial process. It could be a current situation, can be considered difficult. Fortunately, the acquirer is well fed with information. The Chinese text says the person is well fed with food. What I want to look at here is the top trigram is the Li Gua, right? So we got fire on top of wood here, right? So basically, there's some sort of a consumption going on, right? Not merely a conflict, but although line one movement is being blocked, I would say it's more about the person being consumed. But it doesn't matter. Even if, let's say, there's a conflict or consumption or a person being tired, which I do believe possibly this person is really tired, thinking too much, possibly as well. Nevertheless, this does not tell me that, oh, okay, you're not going to travel. This doesn't mean that this person's going to be blocked and not being able to get what she wants, right? So what I want to see here is obviously the last the last hex, but we want to also look at the progress. Sometimes people don't care about the progress, which is fine. So this the progress also represents blockages. So lots of challenges with this hexagram. Okay. Going back to the previous hex. So these hex, they're determined by the previous numbers that I posted up earlier. So these numbers, which comes out with these hex, and this circle here represents the changing line, the line. So basically, going back to this hex, this progress, meaning what's going to happen in between, possibly, what's going to what's happening, and what we can see from the beginning, initial progress, and then the end. So this is more like a middle part. In Daliu Ren, you can definitely look at the initial, the progress, and the result as well. Just gonna quickly bring out this. So in Daliu Ren, we have what we call the Sanchuan, right? We call it the initial here, and then we call it the Zhongchuan and Mochuan, the last one right here. So this can be seen as, for example, your result as well, or the ending, right? And it's the same with very similar to the Yiqing Plum Blossom method. So we can see from progress, it could be difficult as well. What we have here is water on top of earth, so quite a bit of conflict as well. You can imagine the gangua blocking the water from flowing, right? But what I care about usually is the result hex. So result hex means easy progress. So Earth being moved, what we do see here is we have the Li and the Earth. So there's a what I would call a very a mutual growth, a mutual connection, because your fire supporting the Earth, right? So what we do see here is there, at least there's no conflict, right? And the earth is consuming the fire. Okay. So they're working hand in hand, right? So the fire is growing the earth. So on line one, what we see is movement is seen, and the movement can be caused by outside forces. The movement is the result of someone asking him or her to travel. Both sides will benefit from the movement. So basically, this fire going towards the earth here. So at the end of the day, you can see the plum blossom configuration where you have your initial here on the left, and then you have the middle, which is your progress, and then your end result. And at the end of the day, this person ended up traveling for her work, and it was a positive result. Still traveling right now, this lady. So using Plum Blossom can answer you the questions. So if I go to another method right here, I'm just gonna bring it up here, Daliu Ren, right here. I'm just randomly picking some time and date. I can just randomly, oh, what am I doing here? Accidentally clicked the wrong button. Anyhow, 2023, what is today? Today is September 8th, right? I don't think it really matters. I'm just using this. It's 11 a.m. Okay. I'm just putting up something random here. So what we can see here is if the person is asking whether he or she can travel for work. One thing that I would look for is where's the Yima Xing, the flying horse. Also, I want to see where this person is located. So it depends on your birth year. So I'm just gonna randomly pick a birth year. I don't know. Just close my eyes. Let's just say, I don't know. Let's just pick. Well, let's just pick a couple. Let's just say if the person was born on the ox, can this person travel? Oh, I shouldn't have actually used the ox because at the end of the day, you got the ox here and the ox there. So you might want to know, oh, what does it mean? Oh, impulsiveness. Whether this person travel, very highly possible. However, this person is sitting on top of the tiger, so under control, under stress. Where is the ox? Here, the ox here, there's water. So it's also possible that this person might be traveling for money. Why do I say that? Well, for those who know Daliu Ren, you might be able to guess why I said that. Um, but that's something that Daliu Ren can tell you, right? Where I can just look at the person born in the ox and go, oh, okay, blah blah blah. Such things can happen. The Tangsha makes this person impulsive, so very high possibility of traveling for sure. It's also seen in this final phase here. But is it positive? Most likely it is positive. There is support. The initial process might be a bit of a struggle. You can see this wood, the two wood here, the Mao and the Yin it's attacking the earth. That specific person that's born in the year of the ox. Um, it might not be that smooth of a process at the beginning. But anyhow, this isn't about Daliu Ren here. This is more about the Plum Blossom Divination. And I just want to quickly wrap up and say that to summarize all this, I would say that these methods depends on what you want to answer, what you want to focus on. And then you might want to ask yourself, do I want to spend time and money on that specific method? It might be just sufficient. If you already know Qimen, why are you going to spend more time on another method when Qimen answers you the question, right? But my honest opinion is that Daliu Ren gives me way more than what Qimen gives. And Daliu Ren is well known for understanding the human factors. That's why I call it 人事. Whereas Qimen Dunjia is about war, right? About conflict, about Zhan, right? Which we call war. So for me, personally speaking, after investigating and spending so many years, I would definitely look into Daliu Ren if I have time. Like if you have time, you might want to look into that. But having said that, I'd spend more time for anyone who practices Chinese metaphysics to look into Plum Blossom Divination. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. If you are asking about where these numbers come from, I mean, there's all these numbers here. I'm not gonna go into this too much right now, but I mean, you can look at these numbers and you can hit the pause button and look at it and think, why is Jerry using these numbers in blah blah blah, right? So I can throw out another chart. I think I have another one here. Where are these numbers? Formulas in Chinese. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna spend time explaining too much, but I do have a lot of slides. This is 62 pages worth of information, and there's like another 50. You're looking at over 100 pages right here that I could talk about in terms of the I Ching and the plum blossom system. Okay, so these drawn onto a board. I'm not sure if you see clearly, but yeah, that's it for today. Hopefully this gave you more insights into plum blossom, a very overlooked method, something that you should investigate into furthermore. I do highly recommend it. But having said that, if you're happy with your method, use your method. If not, you might want to explore further. Okay. If you like the video, hit the like button and feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I will be posting up more videos in the near future. Okay. Have a nice day.